Hi, I'm Ren.
I'm Sam.
I'm Tosh. And we're the T Swift sisters.
Welcome back to the T Swift Sisters podcast, a Taylor Swift fan podcast for Swifties by Swifties. In today's episode, we're talking Time's Person of the Year, who also happens to be celebrating her 34th trip around the sun today. Here's this week's Swift Scoop. So, of course, we had to start off this episode by celebrating, talking about, diving into Time's 2023 Person of the Year, none other than Taylor Swift. She made history once again last week, becoming the first woman to appear twice on the Person of the Year cover since the franchise began in 1927. Swift was also named Person of the Year in 2017 when she was recognized as one of the silence breakers who inspired women to speak out about sexual misconduct, said Time magazine. Let's just start here with the article itself, the feature. It was so well done. Definitely a long article. If you haven't read it already, we did link it last week on our socials, but we'll also link it in this week's show notes so that you can take time out of your day to read it. I don't even know where to start with it. It's so deep. It was so amazing. The style of writing, the tea that we got from Taylor herself. And I think also an important thing to know about the article was that I think the author does a very good job about taking in Taylor Swift's life style, the way that she lives in her apartment, how she's stretching her legs at certain times, how the cats are walking by. It was amazing.
I was going to say kind of the same thing. I think it did a good job of putting ourselves in the moment. I felt like I was having the conversation with them and could picture her apartment, the surroundings, but it wasn't choppy at all. Oh, this is the environment. Okay, this is what she said. This is the background. It was so intertwined, and I got lost in the read. I was very into it.
Yeah, it was a very, very good feature article. The writing, the journalism truly is just tears to my eyes.
Yeah, I think the transitions between the storytelling, her, recalling a specific moment in her life, and then those moments that bring it back to the physical interview that happened, such as, the movements, with the cat or with her, it kind of gives you that perspective of, okay, we're telling a story, but we're going to bring it back to the reality of right now of her telling me this story in the moment. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was amazing to read.
Yeah, it was really well written. And speaking of, I know I mentioned just a few seconds ago, literally the tea that came out of this article. Mm-hmm. I just want to start with the prep for the Eras tour, because I feel like we've had this conversation in the past. On season 1, it was something that we talked about, the strength that she has as a human being to be able to perform for 3 hours. And we kind of got a little peek behind the curtain with that. And the article says, in the past, Swift jokes, she toured like a frat guy. This time, she began training 6 months ahead of the first show. Every day I would run on the treadmill, singing the entire set list out loud. She said, fast for fast songs and a jog or fast walk for slow songs. Her gym, Dog Pound, created a program for her incorporating strength, conditioning, and weights. Then I had 3 months of dance training because I wanted to get it in my bones, she said. I wanted to be so over-rehearsed, is my favorite line, that I could be silly with the fans and not lose my train of thought.
That's literally my first note, that quote that you said right there.
Because
it's so funny because I had it written too.
It's so deep, and I think it's deep for us because we were there living via the TikTok live streams, via the concert itself, and you see her have that opportunity to break away from the choreo, to break away from everything that's so well rehearsed, to have fun with us and to make it feel like a real moment in time and not just something that we're watching like a stage performance. So it's really you don't realize the depth that it goes into so that you can actually do that and have those moments.
Right.
Mhm.
It's like she wanted to make it muscle memory, like how we drive some, like, you know, like things that
Mhm.
you don't have to think about. Like she wanted it to be like first nature so that she could connect with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like that just speaks to what's important for her is getting to connect with us. Like that's what she wanted, knowing everything that we went through to get these tickets, but also like knowing everything she's been through. Like this is what we needed from her. And like she delivered. Let's just say that.
Oh, 100%, 100% she delivered. And I think it's also something to say, like, I had heard this before. I believe it was with Miley Cyrus interview that she talked about a lot of singers train by performing the set list or singing on the treadmill as like a way for them to build stamina for dancing around the stage, for running, all of that stuff. It's just normal. But the fact that she would every single day run on the treadmill to the entire set list, that is a concert that is 3 hours long. That is so wild to me. Like, as somebody who does 30 to 45 minutes on the treadmill, I cannot imagine 3 hours running. And she says fast for fast songs. Like, there are a lot of fast songs that Homie was for sure like that's a lot. Like you think you look back and you think about her endurance that she has to have. She's truly an athlete. Like at the end of the day, she's an athlete.
Yeah.
Right.
I love that she got to say this. Sorry, Sammy.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I love that she got to say this because like I feel like we can picture and come up with our own narrative of like how much she works for and how much she practiced for this tour. But it's cool that she actually told us what she did.
Yeah, I love that too.
I think this was the first quote, the first part of the article that made me, think, oh yes, she is a mastermind behind it all, because it's like she did this with the awareness that we like the silly moments. We like to see her, be goofy, make memes out of her, make silly like TikTok montages of like her being like weird or whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm going to rehearse so I can also give them that content of, me being me as a person. So literally giving us both sides. I'm sure she's seen all those TikToks of, her being silly on stage that people, make and whatever. So this was just so eye-opening. Like she knows us so well and she knows everything. She's not only watching, there's nothing that doesn't get past her, which I'm like, oh my God, that's so wild.
Yeah, I love that. Also, I just want to like touch on one more thing about her athleticism for this tour. Like, I feel like we also forget or overlook that she's in heels 99% of the entire show and literally like running in them, dancing in them. Like the entire Lover set is in those platform boots. The entire Midnight set also in the platform boots. It's ridiculous. I was doing my own strength class today and we had this workout where we stood like Barbie style on a dumbbell and did squats on it. So like your feet are like Barbie, arched, like high heeled on a dumbbell and you're like doing squats. And I was literally like, oh my God, I wonder if this is like what Taylor Swift had to do to prepare to be in heels, because it's not just the treadmill the entire time. It's not just the strength training. Like at some point, dress rehearsal requires all of that, plus the outfits, plus like the extra weight, the shoes,
plus weather,
plus the weather. Crazy.
Icon.
So the next thing that I wanted to touch on from the article, I have chills. Basically, we're going to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's timeline as revealed by Taylor for the first time publicly talking about their relationship in the Time Person of the Year article. So she says, so the article says, given her complex history with public interest in her dating life, I say it seems noteworthy that her relationship with Kelce has played out so publicly. Swift gently pushes back. This all started when Travis very adorably put me on blast on his podcast, which I thought was metal as hell. I love her so much. Who even says that? Literally, who says that? We started hanging out right after that. So we actually had a significant amount of time that no one knew, which I'm grateful for because we got to know each other. By the time I went to that first game, we were a couple. I think some people think they saw our first date at that game. We would never be psychotic enough to hard launch a first date, which is why I'm saying, like, logistically, you had to know, like, okay, they were not going to have their first ever whatever. But I feel like they set it up in such a way that made people who don't really know Taylor, might not really know like Travis Kelce and his goofy side, think that like that was their first date, because he's on his last podcast before she came out, he was like, oh, I told Taylor Swift, like, balls in her court, she's got to go come watch me now. But I think what people understood from that was that they had just started talking, and that was what he said. And then like she showed up for the first time to ever see him in person. Like, no, they were literally. But that also means, like, if you look back to this, the podcast episode that released where Travis called Taylor out was right at the end of July. Not even, it was like middle of July, because the Kansas City show was July 7th. And it was like the
one that he talked about.
It was, he talked about being there, and he was like, oh, like Taylor Swift swerved me because she didn't want to meet me, whatever. So I guess it just, they could have started talking, seeing each other end of July, but it also depends on when the clip went viral, because I feel like maybe that's how she picked it up, was the
right,
that it went viral, that it came to her attention, or like the podcast initial release itself. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it could have been also like someone that knows her listened to it and said, OMG, like, I listened to his podcast and he like called you out. He was at your show and wanted to meet you. Like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think she also, I believe it was Travis Kelce's interview. He talks about that her like little cousins or something were taking pictures in front of his locker at the July 7th show. So damn, but that puts like that first time that she went to his game was like end of September. Like they were a couple already. They had been together.
Like August.
Yeah.
August was for sure them hanging out.
I just want them to have been together forever. Like in my reality, the show happened July 7th. Then July 8th, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were a thing. That's it. End game.
So a quote that stood out to me from the article, I'll just read it real quick. Swift remembers now that she began trying to shapeshift. I realized every record label was actively working to try to replace me, she says. I thought instead I'd replace myself first with the new me. And it kind of took me back to, going through her different eras. One thing that we all noticed was, oh my God, this sounds so different from the last thing, or we don't know what to call this. And I actively remember her like leaving the country world to go into the pop world. And it felt so different. It felt like we were on a journey with her. But this is us getting kind of like the behind the scenes of why and the how of it all. And I thought that was so cool. We were so aware of what was happening, but this is her saying it was for a reason and this is why.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I think she does such a good job about like offering the explanation almost. And maybe it's to people who don't really know like the history of Taylor Swift. Like they're just now listening to Speak Now for the first time, just now listening to 1989. And they don't really understand like the struggles that she went through as an artist, and like everything that happened before she landed at UMG and Republic Records and could truly own her own music. So I really like that she went down that road, because she's also sticking up for herself, right? She's saying like, look at what they did to me. Like, and I was successful as out of it, but also like pay attention, because they're the reason why I had to reinvent the wheel so many times, or I wouldn't be standing here today with like the career that I built for myself.
Exactly.
Yeah. There was so much in that article that like makes you realize the way that she did things and continues to do them, because of the way the world almost tries to narrate her story and her life. and like what she has to do to navigate that. So she's the one behind the wheel and not everybody else, you know, like with the
Right.
issues with the media, the Kim Kardashian scandal of 2016, all of those things, like all of those are external factors that we're trying to rewrite and like rechart her path. And she's done such a good job at standing behind the wheel and saying, no, this is my story. And it comes through so well in this article, truly.
Yeah.
And like going back to like that little Kim Kardashian mention that I had there, number one, trash takes itself out every time. Number two, the perfect segue, we have to talk about Taylor Swift's comments on Reputation. It was so like slyly put in there, like it's almost like a blink and you don't see it kind of thing, like you're just reading and it floats over your head, but a true Swiftie just like stops and is like, wait a minute.
A true rep stan had to pause.
A true rep stan had to pause, had to do a double take. I can't go back and reread it like thrice.
Yes.
And I think it was right, like before or after a photo of her that's like totally giving rep too.
That's so rep coded. Okay, so I think it's actually right below the photo of her with the black guitar. Is it the black guitar? Okay, that guitar is from Rep World Tour.
I mean,
and then the photo of her like with the slicked hair, that it's like the close up of her.
yes.
That could literally be the next rep cover, and like
we don't even know.
And we won't know. It could have been the same freaking photo shoot. Like
down to the side
like,
bangs.
They could literally reuse that photo as the rep new cover and it would work. It's so rep coded. Okay, so this is what the article says. The upcoming vault tracks for Reputation will be fire, she promises. The re-recordings project feels like a mythical quest to her. I'm collecting Horcruxes, she says. I'm collecting Infinity Stones. Gandalf's voice is in my head every time I put out a new one. For me, it's a movie now.
Before I read the rest of it, getting into like Lord of the Rings reference, I think, whatever, she mentioned Harry Potter. What?
I know! The whole Harry Potter reference to me, there are 7 of them. And how many re-recorded albums do we have? Is it 6 or 7? Is Lover TS7 or TS8? Okay, hold on. Debut, Fearless, Speak Now, Red, 1989. Okay, still so close though. So close. How many Infinity Stones are there? Like almost a handful, right?
There's 6.
There's 6.
One on each knuckle and then the middle one.
Are these Easter eggs?
Do we need to rewatch Harry Potter now?
I need to rewatch Harry Potter every day of my life, honestly. So
another 6.
But I didn't know. I wonder what house Taylor Swift is in.
Probably Hufflepuff.
Anyway.
Like she Slytherin because of the snake?
Okay, I was just going to say, I feel like it totally depends on what era of music she's recording is what house she's in.
Okay, this is important. Okay, so what era is the Hufflepuff? I think I know.
Probably like Evermore.
Debut? What's your guess, Sammy?
I was gonna say like Folklore or something. So maybe like Evermore. Okay.
I feel like Folklore and Evermore are Ravenclaw because they're so like
I see where you're going with this.
They're so quill pen albums that they have no choice but to fit in Ravenclaw.
This could be a whole discussion.
I know. I'm thinking Gryffindor is Fearless.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I think Speak Now could totally also be a Gryffindor.
Yeah.
I think maybe like the pop synth albums, Midnights and 1989, that Lover, those are Hufflepuff.
Oh, I was thinking Midnights can kind of get into Slytherin.
I see that.
It can slither in a little bit.
Oh.
Thanks.
I guess that means.
What about Red?
Red? Ooh.
Red is like Gryffindor.
I'm trying to think of like the vibes of Red and the Harry Potter houses.
I was going to say I could say Gryffindor or Ravenclaw.
Okay. Why Ravenclaw?
I don't have a reason. It just feels right.
Okay.
What have we said is Ravenclaw? Have we said anything?
We've said Folklore and Evermore. I was
Okay.
going to advocate for Midnight's to be a Ravenclaw as well.
I can see it. I know I said Slytherin as well, but I can see Ravenclaw, yeah.
I think we should say Slytherin because there's only like 2 Slytherin.
So we need to share. Yeah.
Like I
Maybe
feel like
should-
there's more houses more songs for the other houses.
Well, maybe it's like the Sorting Hat. The
I guess.
era gets to decide, and Midnight's has decided. Like Midnight's is stuck in between Ravenclaw and Slytherin, and Midnight's has decided she wants to be a Slytherin girly.
I think she's more Slytherin though. Like
Okay.
I guess like if you're looking at like vigilante-ish,
yeah.
Mhm.
total Slytherin.
This would be an interesting poll.
This would be an interesting poll. We'll leave a Q&A in the end of this episode for our Spotify listeners, so I'll see if you're able to type in what house you think each one belongs to. But what do we think about the rep tracks being fired? How many
metal as hell.
how many do you think they're going to be? Do you think it's going to be more than 5 or less than 5?
More than 5
More than
because
5.
of these references she's making to more than 5 things.
Okay. Well, I feel like the references though were more about the albums themselves and not the vault tracks. But I see where you're going with that.
Yeah.
So we're going to say more than 5.
More
I'm
than
thinking
5.
more than 5.
It feels right for a fire album. And I had a question for you guys.
Okay.
Features on the vault tracks. What are we thinking?
Selena. I think Selena's going to be a vault track feature. I think her and Taylor were super tight-knit 2016. What was that Selena song that I was super obsessed with in 2016? Oh my God, Hands to Myself. That was like 2015, 2016 time. I see it. I see a collab happening there, and Selena stepping out wearing the full like snake outfit this weekend. It was giving Reputation. And I was just about to say, I could also see Sabrina Carpenter being a feature on Reputation, but Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor are besties now. Vault tracks are about then. Like Hayley Williams and Fall Out Boy were features on.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
But as I said that, was Taylor Swift besties with Phoebe Bridgers when Red came out? Oh, I feel like that changes things, right?
But I also feel like that, I don't know.
Because you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And Chris Stapleton, question mark, like.
Country? Tapping into her country roots? I don't know. I'm just thinking of the past.
I know, but Chris Stapleton on Red as a feature, like Chris Stapleton was he big like in 2012? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. So I feel like that kind of changes the game.
She might have like a special spot, like 1 or 2 songs saved for someone from that time period. The rest could just be, a free for all, but she might have, that reservation for, okay, who was my person during that time. I'm also thinking maybe what about, fellow artists who represent that female rage, right? Like who could we think of who could be a feature? I was thinking like, I don't know about this overlap, but Miley Cyrus. I love Miley Cyrus. I think she's so strong as an individual. I don't know if she knows Taylor like that. But then again, Hannah Montana and, Taylor Swift, who knows?
Wait, actually, hello. Taylor was in the Hannah Montana movie singing Crazier. So we know that they've crossed paths before.
That just hit me as it came out of my mouth. So I'm like, maybe it is possible. Or it might be reserved for debut or something. I don't know.
I was just going to say, maybe it's debut and they do like a country collab or something.
That would be so cool.
That would be iconic because Miley honestly has a very good like country voice.
Miley's voice is incredible. Like she has and going into, she went to country, going into that rock. I don't know like what specific type of rock, but she does a lot of, heavier songs. She's metal as hell. She pops off. She has such an amazing voice. I would love to see her collab, whether it's on rep or debut. That'd be super cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to cast my 2 votes as Selena and, ooh, What if it's Camila Cabello? I know how you feel about Camila, Sammy, but I'm just thinking of like their friendship at the time, and
Okay.
also a great chance for like Camila to come back on the scene. I don't know. She sings very like sultry songs.
Hmm.
I see it.
I don't see her as rep vibes, but thinking strategically, it would be, another move back into the American audience.
I think I see her as rep vibes because of her opening for Rep Tour. Like I feel
Yeah.
like
Okay.
because she did that,
Okay.
that automatically associates her with the rep era, so it would make it acceptable, is what
I
I'm
I could
see
see
saying.
her
that.
over Sabrina.
Okay. Okay. So then, yeah, I'm going to
Mhm.
cast my 2 votes as Selena, and I was going to say Selena and Sabrina, but it's Selena and Camila. So what
Cash
do you think?
I kind of want like a Billie Eilish collab. And I know it's like kind of odd, but she's
No.
definitely Reputation vibes all the
Yeah.
way.
I
And
get
like
that.
Hmm.
I could see it. So I'm going to cast my vote for that and probably Selena.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to
Nice.
write this down so that we can look back on it when
Oh God.
Rep is released and there's not
And
one
there's no,
feature.
I was going to say, and there's 0 features.
She's gonna hear our pod and delete every piece of a feature she has.
Re-record their verses immediately.
Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps up our time feature. Tosh, do you want to take us into the next story for today?
Yes. So our next story is actually about Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour film. It has recently been nominated for a Golden Globe Award, and this would actually be Taylor's 5th nomination, which I kind of didn't know. Like, it was interesting to look at all her previous nominations. So I'm going to name that really quickly. So in the past, she has been nominated for Golden Globes for Best Original Song, Motion Picture category, for Safe and Sound from the Hunger Games, Sweeter Than Fiction, iconic, One Chance, Beautiful Ghosts from Cats. We're all big cat stands, so that's a good one. And Oh Carolina from Where the Crawdads Sing. Taylor's actually not won a Golden Globe though, so maybe this Eras Tour film will be kind of that new achievement for her. So Taylor Swift the Eras Tour film has been nominated for a new category that they created this year in 2024. And that category is based on cinematic and box office achievement. So it is kind of going up against some real good competitors like the Barbie movie and Oppenheimer. So we will see what happens, but what do you guys think? I mean, I know that it said it in actually the timepiece itself that the Eras Tour film gave AMC its highest single day ticket sales in history. So I feel like that totally matches up with the category it was nominated for. But
I think it very well could be. I think it's something that I know, Sammy, you had written in the notes that you wanted to bring up about the Time article itself, that everybody has been talking about Taylor Swift at least one time this year. Like you can look back on the last 2 months and Taylor Swift has somehow come out in any conversation because she is just that big of a person and an entity right now. And I
Mhm.
think the same can be said about the Eras Tour film itself. It was topping the box office for weeks, for so long. And I don't know, I think it made more of an impact on cinemas than the Barbenheimer weekend. And I think because Barbenheimer was one weekend and it was Barbie and Oppenheimer, Taylor Swift Eras Tour film was very much one thing standalone. So
Mhm.
I feel like when you're looking at it like as a judge, you're like, okay, well, Barbie and Oppenheimer like kind of went up against each other. Eras Tour didn't even have anything to go up against. It was just so big,
Mhm.
kind of
that's a
thing.
good point. That's a good
Mhm.
point. Because it was almost like 2 very different movies. Like if you
Right.
went to the movies, you were going to see probably like one or the other, if not both, but on different days, same weekend. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, the Eras Tour film, if you were going to the movies during that time, you're probably going because you're going to watch that.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep.
It also changed the movie experience because it was a concert. You know, people were buying merch, they were dancing, they were, you know, doing things that you typically wouldn't do if you went to go see Barbie or Oppenheimer or any other movie. So it stands alone and sets itself apart from all others. Not just saying that as a Swiftie, but because I have two eyes and we could see what happened clearly in history with this movie. So it has a great
100%.
chance.
Yeah, and we're talking cinematic and box office achievement, like you said, even the Person of the Year article states it, how she gave AMC its highest single day ticket sales in history, and then what you mentioned, Sammy, the merchandise sales, like Swifties were going to buy the tins. They were you can't say it's not a cinematic achievement that a movie theater chain is creating their own friendship bracelets to hand out to guests.
100%. 100%.
Like that's it. That's the tweet kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing more needed.
Yeah. But I did not know that she was nominated for a Golden Globe for Sweeter Than Fiction. That made my heart tingle.
Well, one quick plug, since we are talking Eras Tour film, since this episode is being released on Taylor's birthday, how are we going to celebrate, ladies?
Streaming her movie
at home. Eras Tour at home. Eras Tour at home.
At home.
No, I'm excited. I'm not excited. I'm not going to lie. I'm not excited about the price tag. Like, we'll move on from that already. But I am excited I'm a work from home girly. And so are you on Wednesdays, Sammy. I'm so excited to just be working and have the joy of the Eras Tour filling my heart in the same room as me. That's like what I'm most excited about. We get the new performances. Long Live.
Woo!
Archer. And Justice for Cardigan. What's the last song that's included? Oh, Wildest Dreams. That's the extra one that's included. So I'm glad that we're going to get a little bit like different. It's going to be just a fun day to celebrate Taylor. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Are you renting it? Like, are you going to have like a movie night at home? Are you going to have an event? Or are you just going to like rent and chill kind of thing?
Rent and chill. I'll probably like wear merch and make a cute little dinner and put it on. How about you?
Probably same. Like I said, I'll probably have it on while I work. What's going to happen is like my day is going to start and I'm going to be like, happy birthday, Taylor Swift. Rent. Take my money, please. Yet again. I wonder how much of like the cut that she makes from the film rental. We'll have to see if we can find out those numbers because we don't know how much that she made like off the ticket sales either. I would like to know that. But I do actually want to mention, now that we're talking about how much money Taylor Swift makes, that she officially crossed the billionaire threshold from music sales alone. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, that's wild.
I didn't.
Yeah, so she's officially a billionaire just from people purchasing her music, not from merch, not from tours, nothing, just music sales alone.
That's iconic.
Yeah.
That is the definition of iconique.
Iconique. QUE.
So we love to see it. I think that's a great way to kind of, wrap up / kick off Taylor's birthday. I'm so excited. Taylor, if you're ever listening to this episode, we love you. Happy birthday, queen.
Happy birthday.
Hope you live
fellow
it up.
December baby.
Live it up, fellow December baby to Sammy. Please help us get tickets to see you on tour in Miami next October.
Please.
Happy birthday.
That would make Sammy's whole birthday. Yeah, exactly.
It would be a win for Taylor and Sammy, and then for Natasha's birthday in May, because she would just get an early birthday gift, and then the show in October would be an early birthday gift for me. So everybody wins here.
Right.
Win. Love
They're
it.
gifted on Sammy's birthday, and then we go around our birthdays. It really can't get better than that.
And since we know Taylor loves to give presents on her birthday, this is just the simple thing that we're asking. It's not anything out of this world. Just 3 front row diamond tickets to the October Eras show in Miami, Florida.
VIP package, please.
We love you.
Happy birthday. We love you.
Okay, guys, that about wraps up this week's episode of the T Swift Sisters podcast. Before we log off, please remember to follow our podcast on your listening platform by clicking the plus button next to our show and give us a rating and wish Taylor Swift a very happy birthday in the comments, because why not? Follow us on social media for live Taylor Swift news updates and so much more. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at T Swift Sisters Pod or Twitter at T Swift Sisters. Don't forget to download the Swift Alerts app for live Taylor updates. Guys, I hope you guys have been playing the 13 Days of Swiftmas. If you're listening to this episode, today is the last day to play. The games have changed all week long. Fun, iconic, truly, and they're just precious gems of human beings.
They are.
Everybody who runs the Swift Alerts app, love them. Honestly, like, I wish we could have them on the pod forever because they're just great. It was a great time. So go back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. Thanks for savoring this week's Swift Scoop. We hope you've had your fill of all things Taylor Swift, and we'll see you next week right here on the T Swift Sisters podcast. Bye.